Welcome, ladies. I'm going to be covering 7 ways to be a better leader to your community. And that is my logo down at the bottom. I am a business coach with cash flow strategies, in case you're wondering why I'm doing this education piece. So what I'm going to talk about is your community and how you define it. Now, there's a much easier way to define community, and that is simply to realize your community is those whom you serve. So when you're thinking about that, who do you want to serve? Who do you want to be able to help the most? Those you help and who look to you for help, inspiration, friendship, guidance, and companionship and support, that is your community. Okay, so your community will also change as you age, so keep that in mind. It means different things, whether you're a teenager or a mother, teacher, coach like me, a senior, yet there's always one thing in common in any community, and that is trust. Without it, you don't have anything. So when you are part of something bigger than yourself, your contribution becomes exponential. It means it grows. It's very, very large. Without it, we don't stretch our wings, take risks, pick ourselves back up with renewed purpose, or any of those priceless effects that being a part of a strong, nurturing community endows. So your community is going to consist of people who you know and trust, who find themselves aligned with your values and goals, and you with theirs. So community is basically being part of something bigger than yourself. So how do you define it? Whether it's online, which you're looking at that from the perspective of where do you experience the most interactivity online? Is there a paying market there? What exactly are they willing to pay for without thinking twice? How do I already help them? What are you already doing to serve them? And what is the unspoken question? That's talking about it from an online perspective. But you can also define it from where you live. And you can do this through opportunities like presenting a free workshop at your local library, or you could do a free workshop at your local business organization. You could take advantage of writing for a community-oriented article in your local paper, or you could also do something online with the paper. Be ready with a signature presentation and fill in at a moment's notice when speakers cancel. They always appreciate that, and that gives you opportunities to help out your community as well. Now, your community is everybody that you touch. These experiences are important even when they're not relevant directly in a business sense. Don't think that this has to be about your business. It's also developing it from a personal perspective. You get to practice patience, listening skills, triage skills, and social skills. So to start to create a network and help others network. I love teaching that part, especially with LCBW, because a lot of people do not really know how to network properly, and it's not really their fault. They just weren't given the right skills. So I cover that a lot. So that's something that's very helpful to people, especially when they're doing either online networking like we're doing right now, or face-to-face, the luncheons. And you build your reputation and sense of self-worth through everybody that you touch. Sorry, I can't talk today. Step 2, making the world a better place. That's always your ultimate goal. Now, there's one essential key ingredient to being a better leader, and that ingredient is courage. You have to be willing to step up. If you want to make a difference, then you have to set yourself apart from other people. Now, when you're part of being something bigger than yourself, your contribution becomes exponential. It's going to grow. The other person that you help, before you know it, you've got a chain reaction of people helping each other grow and achieve goals. And it doesn't matter whether or not your community is business oriented, like I said. It can be local based or around a hobby. Now, when you're talking about courage, a leader faces all the difficult issues head on. She does not procrastinate, does not make excuses. She faces her own faults. She faces the faults and deeds of others and deals with them, especially when they constitute past baggage. Don't be afraid of your story. You actually want to share that with people. People want to know what you've been through so that they can relate to you. Great leaders also know how to and when to forgive, and that's called strategic forgiveness. And somebody's got their thing on, I can hear it. It becomes easier to understand when you realize that forgiveness is a decision. It's a choice, and definitely not just an emotion. Forgiving ourselves shouldn't be seen as a weakness, but rather as a leadership trait, like I mentioned. And when your community sees you owning your own mistakes or your own past, that's true authenticity, and they know it. Okay. Step 3. This is so important, guys. Be a good listener. What that means is being present. It means listening and giving weight to your community members' problems, concerns, joys, triumphs, failures, and their thoughts. But it isn't, you don't learn it overnight. It's a skill, and you can absolutely develop it and fine-tune it. So being a good listener means, number 1, shut off your mobile device. Biggest pet peeve of mine. If I'm at lunch with somebody or having coffee with somebody, turn off your phone. Give them your undivided attention. They will appreciate it. Make sure you're in a quiet place where you can give that person you're talking to your undivided attention. Never interrupt them. Let them finish their thought. Plus, you need to think about what they said. You need to process it for a second, and then you can respond. Watch the nonverbal cues, guys. You can see it in their face. You can see it in their posture. There's so much more than what is coming out of their mouth. Don't jump to conclusions or make assumptions. Once again, think before you speak. Process what they said before you respond to it. And always acknowledge what they are saying. What I'll do a lot of times is I'll kind of repeat back what they said, maybe ask it in a question, just so I know for a fact that I heard them correctly. Also, you want to ask deep questions. What I mean by that is that when they finish outlining the issue, make sure you understand clearly what they're actually saying, like I said. Okay, mirror technique. Hopefully you guys know what this means. You want to mirror how somebody else is when they're talking to you, kind of keep the same pace. Don't be overly aggressive because that's just going to scare them away. You want to kind of make it as similar with them without mocking them at the same time. Always think carefully before answering. Respect their opinions, rights, and viewpoints. Gosh, especially now. Okay. I can't stress that enough. I'm not going to go political on you guys. I won't do that. But it's very, very important that everybody has the right to their own opinion and their own views. So you can listen to it. You don't have to necessarily agree with it, but you can still respect it. Be objective in what they're talking about. So don't be defensive. Don't judge. Just listen and take your own emotions out of the picture. Okay. Follow up on your conversations. This is where 90% of all listeners fall down flat. If you promise to send them a link to help them with something, or if you're gonna say, I want to meet you for coffee, we're gonna do lunch, make sure that happens. Too many people make false promises, and that does not help you with your reputation or what you're trying to teach anybody or what you're trying to do with your community. So keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. There are 3 types of listening. And what I want you to do, part of the workshop, is identify where you fall in these 3 things. And it doesn't matter where you fall, just really think about it. Internal listening, where you're focused on your own thoughts and reactions. Focused listening, where you are giving the person your undivided attention, but you're not picking up on the small nuances or the person is sharing, or you're not necessarily paying attention to the nonverbal cues, like I mentioned before. And then obviously this is the premium one, 360-degree listening. When you're not only listening, you're aware of what is not being said. You're aware of their body language, their tone, the nuances, what energizes them and what stresses them, and so forth. And part of that is just, understanding different personalities and, how they respond to different things. And you can learn that as well. Step 4, lead by example. Leading by example happens when a leader lives his or her core values every day. What is most important to you? Why are they your values? And that's what you're sharing back to your community. Leaders are always the first ones to take a step to solve a problem or ask the right questions. Doesn't necessarily mean you know what the right questions are right now. You got to practice that. You got to learn that. This is all skills that you're going to be able to learn. Okay. Now, number 1, what this means is you don't micromanage people. You need to give them the opportunity to learn and then also to do it. If you do it for them, they're not going to learn anything. What's that proverb that says, if you fish for someone for a day, then they eat for a day, but if you teach them to fish, they'll eat for the rest of their lives. Keep that in mind. That makes a huge difference. Number 2, a good leader helps people assume their own responsibilities by setting clear boundaries. Yeah, you need to stick to those boundaries. Don't become a carpet. Don't let people just walk all over you. You need to set those boundaries and make them respect them. And boundaries means you respect yourself as well as your community members. So whatever boundaries that you set for yourself, keep them. Don't change them just because, you know, you feel pressured or you think that you have to do that. No, this is all part of teaching people to respect themselves and, more importantly, respect you. Okay, now ways to set strong boundaries include defining when and how you will interact and sticking to it. Now, some people may argue with me about this, but if you're doing any kind of consulting or something on the side, don't reduce your fees to accommodate a client with financial problems. Instead, you can offer them a payment plan, you can do terms, but you don't want to lose your worth by cutting your costs. You don't need to do that. Too many people make that mistake and it just isn't necessary. Never step outside the times that you've set for yourself for either your own, coaching that you're doing for yourself to learn things or for your volunteer work. Hold those steady and respect your client or their boundaries too. Your customers, they're going to have boundaries, so you have to respect them as well. And always, always follow through on what you've set in place. Doesn't do you any good to put a schedule together or do anything if you're not going to follow through with it. And I've seen way too many people fall short with this. And it hurts your reputation. And it's very, very hard to maintain that reputation as a leader or anything you contribute as being helpful to them. Okay. Step 5, make a difference with a business that matters. What I mean by that is, what do you want them to learn? If you could guess what I'm trying to cover with you guys today, what do you think that would be? Jot that down. We're going to talk about it in a minute. What do you want to share? What was the point of this whole PowerPoint? What was I trying to share with you guys? What do you want them to take away? How do you want them to feel that you made a difference? Anytime you're doing something with your community, you were contributing. So you want to make a difference. And narrow it down to one major takeaway that you want to leave them with, or one significant skill or goal you want to help them achieve. My goal was to help you to learn how to listen better. If this helps you to identify what you're doing when you're talking with people and using that skill for listening, and especially looking for those nonverbal cues, then I succeeded in what I was trying to do today. Also, spend time with your community, think about what your community members, ask yourself what your community needs. Always go deep and look for that extra tweak your people need. Going into critical thinking as an example. Step 6, plan for sharing. And what that is, there's a variety of ways you can engage in meaningful outreach. You can do it through curation, volunteer work, donating to causes and charities. One of the best things that I did last year was when I was on the committee for Best Buddies. And I was, the sponsorship chair. I enjoyed that greatly. Setting up programs and funding, if you can do that. Step 7, realize that your success benefits your community. And what I mean by that is when you're properly compensated for all the time and care you put into your business and your community, you can help more people in more ways. That's why I said don't cut yourself short. It's okay to be successful and make money at what you're doing, because then you can contribute it back to your community. You're going to be a lot better off helping people when you have more money to do it than to be broke, because then you're just going to be desperate and your thoughts are not going to be where they need to be. When people start talking about you and praising you, your business and your community organically start to build runway momentum. And your business will not only bring you success, it will truly make the world a better place. This is my contact information. Like I mentioned, I am a business coach with Cash Flow Strategies. There is my website. There's my email, my phone number, and this PowerPoint was part of my Teacher Tribe series, which I am going to hopefully have done in the next couple of weeks, and you'll be able to access all kinds of programs and information very soon. Questions?